A startup you have never heard of just raised $5 million to do something that sounds like science fiction. Use AI to predict which drugs will cure your disease before you ever take a single pill. Converge Bio closed the deal last week, with backing from Bessemer Venture Partners, plus executives from Meta, OpenAI, and Wiz, the cybersecurity company that turned down a $23 billion Google acquisition offer. And here's what should terrify Big Pharma. They're claiming they can do in months what currently takes a decade and costs $2.6 billion. Because right now, when your doctor prescribes you medication, they're essentially guessing. Trial and error. The average cancer drug works for only 25% of patients who take it. The other 75% suffer side effects, waste months of their lives, and pay thousands of dollars for treatments that were never going to work for their specific biology. Converge Bio says they've built AI that can predict those failures before they happen. But here's the part that explains why tech executives are suddenly throwing money at a biology problem. If this works, the entire $1 trillion pharmaceutical industry has to rebuild itself from scratch, and the clock just started ticking. Let's establish something uncomfortable. Drug development is stuck in 1960. Pharmaceutical companies still test new medicines the same way they did during the Kennedy administration. Find a molecule, test it on cells, test it on mice, test it on humans, wait 10-15 years, and hope 90% of your candidates don't fail. The FDA reports that only 12% of drugs that enter clinical trials ever make it to patients. That's an 88% failure rate after companies have already spent hundreds of millions. Converge Bio's pitch is deceptively simple. What if AI could analyze your specific genetic makeup, your disease's molecular signature, and billions of data points from past drug trials to predict which treatments will work before you waste time on the ones that won't? They call it computational drug discovery. And the reason Bessemer Venture Partners is leading this $25 million Series A is because 3 companies already proved the concept works. Recursion Pharmaceuticals went public in 2021 and is now worth $2.1 billion. Incitro raised $643 million. Exscientia became the first AI drug discovery company to get a treatment into human clinical trials. All 3 did it the same way. Replace human intuition with machine learning that can test millions of drug combinations in silico inside a computer before ever touching a test tube. But here's what makes Converge Bio different, and why executives from Meta and OpenAI personally wrote checks. They're not just using AI to speed up existing drug development. They're using it to create personalized drugs for diseases that Big Pharma has completely abandoned. There are approximately 7,000 rare diseases recognized by medical science. Only 500 of them have FDA-approved treatments. The other 6,500? Pharmaceutical companies won't touch them because the patient populations are too small to justify the $2.6 billion average cost of bringing a new drug to market. If a disease affects fewer than 200,000 Americans, the math doesn't work. You can't recoup your investment. That's 40 million Americans, roughly the population of California, living with conditions that have no cure, no treatment, and no hope of getting one under the current system. Converge Bio's model flips that equation. If AI can cut drug discovery costs by 80% and reduce timelines from 10 years to 18 months, suddenly those unprofitable rare diseases become viable markets. The company isn't publicly disclosing which diseases they're targeting first, but their SEC filings mention precision oncology and rare genetic disorders. Translation: cancers that affect specific genetic subgroups and inherited diseases that current medicine can't touch. These are the exact categories where traditional pharma has the worst track record. Here's the statistic that explains the $25 million valuation. The average rare disease patient waits up 6 years from first symptoms to accurate diagnosis, then discovers there's no approved treatment. Converge Bio is betting that AI can collapse both those timelines simultaneously, diagnose faster, and create treatments that didn't exist before. But nobody is talking about the regulatory nightmare waiting on the other side. The FDA's drug approval process was designed in an era when humans did all the science. Every clinical trial requires demonstrating safety and efficacy through multiple phases of human testing. But what happens when AI predicts a drug will work for patient A and fail for patient B based on their genetic profiles? Do you still need a phase 3 trial with 3,000 participants? Or can you run a trial with 50 people who the AI predicts will respond? The FDA doesn't have an answer yet. In 23, they issued draft guidance on AI in drug development that essentially said, we're still figuring this out. That creates a catch-22 for companies like Converge Bio. Investors are betting on AI to revolutionize medicine, but regulators haven't decided if they'll allow the revolution. That's why the investor list matters so much. Bessemer Venture Partners has portfolio companies worth a combined $500 billion and a 50-year track record of betting early on paradigm shifts. When they led the Series A, they're not just backing Converge Bio's science, they're betting on their ability to navigate regulatory uncertainty and convince the FDA to update rules written before AI existed. And then there are the individual executives from Meta, OpenAI, and Wiz who invested personally. TechCrunch didn't name them, but the pattern is revealing. These are people who have already built AI systems that regulators didn't know how to handle. Meta's algorithms, OpenAI's GPT models, Wiz's autonomous security tools, all of them launched into regulatory gray zones and forced governments to adapt. They've done this before. They know how the game ends. But here's what nobody is talking about. If Converge Bio succeeds, they don't just disrupt pharmaceutical companies. They potentially eliminate the need for health insurance as we know it. The entire health insurance industry is built on a premise. Most people won't get sick, so the healthy subsidize the sick. But that model collapses if AI can predict exactly who will get sick and exactly which drugs will cure them. Imagine a world where genetic screening at age 25 tells you which diseases you'll develop, and AI-designed drugs prevent them before symptoms appear. Insurance companies can't charge you for a risk that's been eliminated, and pharmaceutical companies can't charge a $50,000 for a cancer drug if AI competitors can design an equally effective version for $15,000. The entire economic model that's added $4.3 trillion to US healthcare spending unravels. That's the real reason tech executives are suddenly interested in biology. This isn't about altruism. It's about being positioned to control the infrastructure when the current system collapses. If Converge Bio or companies like it succeed, healthcare becomes a software problem. And software is what these investors know how to monetize. The $25 million Series A is just the opening move. Recursion Pharmaceuticals has raised over $1 billion total. Incitro has raised $843 million. Exscientia raised $525 million before going public and getting acquired by Recursion for $688 million in 24. The pattern is clear. AI drug discovery companies raise small Series A's to prove the concept, then raise massive Series B's and C's as they move drugs into clinical trials. Converge Bio is currently in the prove the concept phase. They're using their $25 million to build out their AI models and identify their first drug candidates. If they can show their AI accurately predicts drug efficacy in preclinical studies over the next 18 to 24 months, that's when the real money comes in. We're talking $100–200 million Series B to fund clinical trials. But there's a darker possibility that the optimistic pitch decks aren't mentioning. Here's the uncomfortable question. What happens when an AI confidently predicts a drug will cure your disease? You spend 6 months taking it, and it doesn't work. Or worse, causes side effects the AI didn't predict because human biology is more complex than any training dataset can capture. We've already seen this pattern with AI in other industries. Facial recognition that works for white faces but fails for black faces. Hiring algorithms that discriminate against women. Self-driving cars that can't detect pedestrians in wheelchairs. Every AI system inherits the biases in its training data, and medical data sets are notoriously skewed toward white, male patients. Converge Bio hasn't published their methodology yet. Most startups don't until they file patents. So we don't know how they're addressing this. But the medical AI field has a reproducibility crisis. A 2023 study in Nature found that sensitive AI models for disease diagnosis couldn't be reproduced when tested on different patient populations than the ones they were trained on. That's the innovation paradox. The faster you move with AI, the more likely you are to deploy systems that fail in unexpected ways. Traditional drug development is slow precisely because it's designed to catch those failures through multiple rounds of human testing. The counter-argument from Converge Bio and their investors would be that the current system is already failing 88% of the time and taking a decade to do it. Even if AI-designed drugs fail at the same rate, but do it in 18 months instead of 10 years, that's still a massive improvement. You learn faster, iterate faster, and get to working treatments sooner. But that assumes the failures are equivalent. A drug that fails in a computer simulation costs money. A drug that fails in a human patient costs lives. Here's what to watch for in the next 6-12 months. First, Converge Bio will start hiring aggressively. AI drug discovery requires two completely different skill sets: computational biologists who can build the models and wet lab scientists who can actually synthesize and test the compounds. The company that can recruit both will win. Second, look for partnerships. Every AI drug discovery startup eventually partners with a traditional pharmaceutical company because they need access to proprietary compound libraries and clinical trial infrastructure. Recursion partnered with Roche and Bayer. In Citro partnered with Gilead. Converge Bio will need similar deals, and whoever they partner with tells you which diseases they're actually targeting. Third, watch the FDA. They're under enormous pressure to speed up approvals without compromising safety. If they create a fast-track pathway for AI-designed drugs, every biotech investor in Silicon Valley will flood the space with capital. If they don't, this entire sector could stall. The cynical take is that none of this matters because healthcare moves too slowly for disruption. The optimistic take is that we're 18 to 24 months away from the first AI-designed drug getting FDA approval, which would prove the model works and trigger a tsunami of investment. I think the truth is somewhere in between. AI will absolutely transform drug discovery, but it won't be as fast or as clean as the pitch decks suggest. There will be failures, regulatory battles, and ethical questions we're not prepared to answer. But the alternative, sticking with a system that fails 88% of the time and ignores 40 million patients, is worse. The $25 million Converge Bio just raised is a bet that we can do better. Whether they specifically succeed or get acquired or flame out, the direction is set. Tech money is pouring into biology, and the pharmaceutical industry as we know it has maybe 5 years before it has to completely reinvent itself. If this keeps you up at night, subscribe. We cover this every week. If you found this useful, don't forget to hit the hype button. It helps the channel grow.